Well, happy Wednesday, everybody. It's Doug Robbins, or as some of you know me as Doug the Officiant. I'm a wedding officiant, a special events coordinator. Um, I think all around good guy and a very curious person to ask a lot of questions. And that's the question I get the most. Why does a wedding officiant have a channel called Engagement? Is it about getting engaged? No, it's about engaging conversations. Welcome to Engagement. So we are in the depths, maybe the middle towards the end, I'm not really sure anymore, of talking to some phenomenal women. And so you say, well, yeah, why would you want to talk to phenomenal women? Well, because I was raised by a lot of phenomenal women. These two, to be specific, my Nana, Myrtle in the yellow, my mom in the pink. They raised, reared, and kicked me in the butt quite often to make me the person I am. Came from humble beginnings, and kept me true and kept me honest, and got me to where I am today. They had to hand it off at some point as a tag team to this phenomenal lady who continues to kick my butt and make sure that I do what I'm supposed to do. And we all need those phenomenal women in our life, or phenomenal females. So when you're out talking to people or texting people or just having a conversation, don't forget those phenomenal people that brought you to where you're at today. So teachers are pretty darn phenomenal right now. Especially, they've always been phenomenal. And so today we're going to talk to two phenomenal teachers that are navigating these unique, I think unique's the best word, time. So we're about to bring in Heather Robbins and Nicole Quigley to talk about educating, and these ladies know what they're doing when it comes to education. So Heather, welcome.
Hey.
And Nicole, welcome.
Hello.
How are we doing?
Good.
Good.
Well.
So, how's teaching going?
Oh man, it's going.
Yeah.
Nicole, you want to add to that?
It's going. I guess I have a bit of an advantage because I've been virtual since I guess last March, but I've been in the virtual school here with the Lambton Kent board since September. So I'd like to think I have a little bit of an advantage, but it's going. And now with my kids at home and being back at home versus in the school setting, it's a bit of a challenge. So, but yeah, we're moving along. And, I said to my class today, I said, we're almost at the end of April. We're almost there. And it's been a challenge for not just teachers, but the kids too. And they've been, to me, extremely resilient through this. And so it's made it easier with the kids, still being there every day and showing up every day. So
there's always a lot to talk about when it comes to teaching because, it's a profession that not everyone gets into. I'm sure that someone inspired both of you to get into teaching. Maybe you had a phenomenal teacher that taught you in school, or something that opened your eyes to this sort of path or trajectory. So Heather, how about you? Who got you sort of the teaching bug?
One person really stands out to me, and for anybody who knows my family or anybody who's been to Merlin Area Public School during the time that we were all there, is Mrs. McDowell. Claire McDowell, I'm not sure if she's watching right now or not, but she was very instrumental with a lot of us. She was one of those teachers, and you always have those ones, like you said, Doug, the ones that really stand out, those ones that really are outside of the box, do things differently, and they just they really stick with you. And she was one of those people. She was one of my greatest teachers, actually probably my favorite. I had her in grade 5 and grade 6, and she challenged me. She helped me to take risks, and she's been a mentor to me really throughout my life. When I was in elementary school, going through high school, and even in university, we still have conversations today. And she's kind of my go-to, the one person that I can rely on. If ever I have any decisions that I need to make, she's my voice of reason when it comes to education.
That's awesome. She's made a profound mark on you because everyone that I know that has had you as a teacher says, well, Miss Robbins is the best teacher. She's so down to earth. She gets it. We love going to her class. She makes it fun. So that's a lot of work to make it fun, you know.
Wow.
And there was a time when making it fun meant, dressing up a bulletin board with, remember that corrugated wavy,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
You'd do up your
Yeah.
board and you put some things up there and you were like way out there. But it's more than that. It's a lot more than that. So Nicole, who brought you to this profession?
Thinking about it, I don't know if I can necessarily pinpoint one person. I know growing up, my dad, he taught at my elementary school. He was my coach. He was, he was a grade 7 and 8 teacher at our elementary school. So all my friends were taught by my dad, but I loved school and I loved the whole school community. So the playing of the sports and belonging to clubs and student council. And so I think I saw my dad and he enjoyed going to work every day and he loved what he did and he was passionate about what he did. So I think that really kind of led me into the teaching direction for sure throughout elementary school. And then I had some great coaches along the way too. I loved playing sports growing up and some of the ones that kind of stand out to me, like some of the greatest of the greats, I would say, in our community, Dave Allen coached and I had him as a teacher. And then when I went into high school, Blake Hanser was my basketball coach for years. And actually I had him even in university and just kind of that mentorship that he had with his athletes and his students. And I really kind of looked up to him, I guess, in a way, and along with my father as well. And you could see the passion that they had for what they did. And I wanted to be passionate about something that I was going to do for the rest of my life. So I think that those people kind of led me in that direction as well.
That's awesome. That's good. Yeah. I mean, you just don't necessarily happen on to this profession. It's not an easy profession, no matter what people say. And I'm sure you've heard people say, oh, school teachers, they get, all the summer off and all the holidays. And what they don't know is that you're probably prepping for, September in August. You might get some time off. They don't realize the amount of work that actually happens behind the scenes. Not to mention you can't go to the liquor store because they'll see you there.
Yeah.
Very true. So tell me a bit about yourselves. We'll start with Nicole this time. So tell me a little bit about you. I know you have a very interesting dynamic when it comes to teachers and the family and at home.
Yeah. Well, like I said, my father was a teacher. And I'm a teacher as well. My husband is a teacher, so he's a teacher in the high school setting. So he's a guidance counselor right now in the high school setting. And we have 3 little kids at home. So we have Kyra, she's 7, Malcolm is 5, and then Tegan is 2 years old. So 2 of them are in school right now, and then obviously Tegan is still in daycare. So it's a busy house. It's busy. Both my husband and I we coach, obviously when sports are on and running, and we're pretty active in the schools as well with that type of thing. So life is busy, but I guess I'm not sure we know what to do any other way. So this has been a little bit of a slowdown time for us. It's been nice in a way. But I am looking forward to getting back to kind of doing those things that we love. So,
yeah. Well, the norm. I mean, everyone says this is the new norm, and my comment to that is I like the old norm. Really, I kind of like the way things used to be, right? Where you could, hang out and talk and actually see people. 3 days. So yeah, Heather. What about you? I know a lot about you, but tell the listeners a bit about Heather.
Yeah, well, Dougie Fresh knows a lot about me for sure. I grew up and I'm from a small town village called North Buxton, and I'm part of a really close-knit, really tight family. We're more like siblings than cousins. Big shout out to all the Robbins family, all the Hansers, all of the princes and the Shreves and everybody else. You guys know who you are. But yeah, so I'm really close with them. The ties in our family are really close amongst generations, and so just being able to say that I come from that family and to be able to have those close ties is, I know it's unique, and it's definitely a part of who I am. I love learning about people and their stories. I think it's important to be able to recognize the stories that people have, and kind of how it shapes who they are. So I'm one of those people that will just randomly stop someone and have a conversation with them and find out who they are. And yeah, I think that's about it, really. I'm an old soul. Fun fact.
Oh,
One of my favorite shows, and you guys are going to laugh at this, is The Golden Girls. I love it.
That's
yeah,
Okay.
a good one.
love the Golden Girls. So which one would you be?
Probably Dorothy, because I'm no nonsense. Probably Dorothy, I would
And I
say.
love her sarcasm. Yeah. Yes, big shout out to the Golden Girls. They're definitely one of my favorites. They're having a resurgence, actually. So
Yeah.
you can catch up
Yeah.
on Amazon TV and watch them all day long. So teaching has brought you to where you are today. Did you ever imagine that teaching would be like this now? I mean, you're teaching from your homes. I've watched because I have grandkids that are also learning from a distance, where they're teaching, and you look at the teacher and the screen, and they could be in their bedroom or their basement, or I think some are still maybe doing it from school, but it's a really different time, and for a lot of people, it's a very stressful time too, because they're trying to work from home and educate from home and take care of home. And I saw a really unique saying that said that I'm not working from home, I'm living from work.
Hmm.
I thought that was kind of
Yeah.
profound. Yeah.
Yeah.
So did you guys ever think this is how it would be?
I know. I never thought of it. I never thought in a million years we'd be in this position. But with the situation that we've been faced with, they use that word pivot, although I'm not a big fan of it. One of the things that's always going to hold true with teaching is the ability and the need to be flexible. And so, although this is one of those things that we have really no control over, one of the things that teachers are usually pretty good at is being flexible.
Yeah, I'd like to echo that. I think, my colleagues, people have kind of amazed me really this year, and how quickly it happened. Like, you think last year, going into March break, it was like, oh, we're not coming back for a couple weeks after March break. No one ever anticipated that it would look like this, and that we'd still kind of be in the same spot that we were more than a year ago. But like, I would like to think that people and the students really have been amazing through this, to be able to, like Heather said, pivot and still be able to, get our education, and we're still able to teach, and pretty resilient, right? Like across the board, that we can, change what we do. And I'm sure most people would echo that they would prefer to be in the classroom and be able to do those hands-on things, and be able to be with the students face to face, and be like the old way, the old norm, right? Of how we used to be able to do everything, go on field trips, play, sports, have clubs, do music and things like that. No, we didn't think it would be like that, but I think we've came a long way in a year, and it's working. But I do, again, look forward to it going back to where we can do those things that we really love as teachers. And I miss those pieces for sure, the extra pieces that we're not getting the chance to do. Like Muskoka Woods, for example, we usually take our grade 8 students up to Muskoka Woods for a camping trip. And it's this time of year where you're getting ready for that and getting ramped up for that. And I was thinking the other day, like, oh, this is another group that's going to miss that. And the graduations that are coming up, and just those really important pieces for our students and important pieces of their lives that they're not going to get, right? I mean, they'll be known as those COVID years where things were a little bit different for them. But it's still an important piece that I feel for them, those students missing out on those things. So.
Yeah. So what grades do you both teach?
I teach grades 7 and 8. Oh, sorry, Nicole. I teach grades 7 and 8. And go ahead.
Yeah, and I'm 7 and 8 as well.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Very good. And how long have you both been educators?
Oh man. I got my degree in education in 2006. So I graduated 2006, got on the supply list then, and been teaching ever since. So I guess 15 years, I guess.
Wow.
That's
how's that possible, right, Heather?
I know, right? It's been 15 years.
Wow.
So what I would have been 2008, I believe. Yeah. So, and then I was on the supply list the year after that. So, yeah. So it's been 13 years.
Awesome.
Actually, I believe Heather was actually in Teachers College with my husband.
Yep.
At the same time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, in the same group.
Yeah, we were in the same group, JI, Health and Phys Ed, and one of the best crews. They were awesome. And Quigs was one of the road dogs with that crew. So it was great.
Neat. So we'll start with Heather. What motivates you as a teacher, Heather?
Oh man. I think one of the things that really motivates me is knowing the fact that I'm charged with the responsibility and really the absolute privilege to do my best to shape the lives of the students that I see every day, right? Like, there's so much more to teaching than the curriculum. To be able to be a part and be a role in allowing them to grow and to see them to eventually to become productive members of society. Those ones who are going to lead us one day, that really motivates me. I'm trying to think of what else. Just the fact that you see these kids grow every day. That's super cool. Those aha moments, any teachers can really relate to that. Those times where you really see that they get it, or the times that you really know and see that they're going towards something that they're passionate about. Those times where you're outside, in public, and you happen to see a student that you formerly taught, and they come up to you and they give you a hug, or they say hi to you, and, oh, I remember when we did this, and that sort of thing. All those moments are things that definitely motivate me and help me to kind of just push forward and do what I love, because it's definitely a passion. It's more than a profession. It's really a passion, for sure.
That's awesome. Nicole.
I'd echo a lot of what Heather said there. I guess that making those connections with that student that maybe, it might take a while, but then you find that connection with that student and you're able to maybe motivate them using those connections to, be a better student, be a better person, be a better whatever it is. And then when you see them later on and you see that, they became successful, it's like gratifying, right? You get that gratification that, that you played a small part in, getting them to that point, I guess. And then finding a way to engage them. And I guess I've really realized that in the last year, having the ability to find a way to motivate them, engage them, and want them to continue to push themselves kind of outside of what they think their limits are. And I guess it's almost like a challenge, right? Like I said, I love sports and I love, the competition of that. And I almost see teaching like that some days, where it's just a challenge to get that student to push themselves to the next level in whatever it is that they're interested in or their focus is in, and then hope, like you said, that they find some success later in their lives.
Well, you've seen the award shows where someone has got up and gotten an Oscar or a Grammy, and they thanked their school teacher that touched them back in the day. And I think if anyone could have that happen in Chatham, Canada, it'd be the two of you. So just as soon as you get an actor out there, you're getting that much closer. So it's gonna happen.
Oh man.
It's gonna happen. I'm telling you. I
Yeah.
want to thank Miss Heather for all of her help. And so remote learning is now, of course, the thing, or distance learning was what we used to call it back in the day. And as you know, there's a lot of talk about that. I want to show you a quick little reel to show you sort of what some moms in Chatham Kent are thinking about this, and we'll talk about it on the other side. Hang on. So, thanks to CK Mom for that. I saw it, and actually,
yeah.
one of the reasons why I thought I should talk to some teachers, because this is how some moms are dealing with things. It's the old gin in the coffee cup, or whatever it is, Nana juice, if you want to call it that. They're really feeling the stress that a lot of teachers, most teachers, feel on a day-to-day basis from September till April. Now that it's different, you now have moms at home with kids, and you have kids at home with moms, and they're working from home, and you're working from home, and they're trying to get their work done, and you're trying to keep their attention during those classes, because that's not easy at the best of times, even in person. I know it's not easy, because I was that class clown that was always in trouble. So I can only imagine how much harder it is now when you have that gap of technology in the way, where you can't just sort of say, hey, Doug, corner, hallway, come back and clap the erasers after class. It's going to be different now, because you don't have that. You have that distance. So how do you deal with that? Heather, I'll let you start.
Oh man. I've got 24 kids that I love, and they're fantastic and they're incredible. They've been amazing through all of this. But I know that there have been challenges with everyone going through all of this. It's tough. Like it really is. I'm not going to sit here and, paint with rose-colored glasses, because it's not. And I think it's important for everyone to know that, given the situation that you're in, as far as the parents are concerned, do what's best for you. If your kid is struggling, then, recognize that it's tough. And I was actually reading through the questions that you said, Doug, and I want to put my 2 cents on something. Is it okay if I do that?
Absolutely, Heather.
Okay. So when you asked about, this whole remote learning and how we're coping with it and that sort of thing, I actually wrote something down, and because I wanted to make sure that I was in line with what I was saying, I have a tendency to go on rants and stuff like that. So I want to actually just share something with the people who are here about not only my thoughts, but I think of what a lot of people are feeling right now. So I'm going to precursor it with this. Anyone who knows me well knows that I keep it real, and I'm not afraid to speak up about anything. One of the things I always encourage my students to do is to use their voices in productive ways, because they matter. Their voices matter, and it's important for them to know that. Having said that, I think it's important for me to use my voice, and I'm glad to be able to have a platform to do this. And so, having said that, I can't speak on behalf of all teachers right now, but I think most would agree with me that the expectations that are being placed upon teachers, upon students, and parents by the powers that be during this remote learning situation, they're unrealistic, they're unsustainable, and they're frankly impossible. Don't get me wrong. I realize that some teachers, students, and parents are thriving at this time. And I'm sure Nicole can probably see that because she's been remote for quite some time. But it is a struggle for a lot of people. And I'd say that it's, quite the opposite. I put money on that it's quite the opposite for most. I can't even begin to tell you how many inequities are in place for these remote learning situations for these students, for these parents, and for these teachers. People are struggling. More so, if anyone who thinks it's a good idea and promotes having students of any age in front of a screen for several hours each day needs to go back to this drawing board. They clearly don't know how kids work, and they have no idea what really goes on in the front lines of a classroom. You know who does, though? Teachers. Nicole does, myself, and so many others in this profession. There's been so much talk about the negative effects of too much screen time, and they're preaching that mental health is a priority, but these actions are proving otherwise. It all screams hypocrisy. I, for one, and I know I'm not alone here, want to be in the school, and they want to be in the classroom with our kids. It's where they need to be. Their worlds have been turned upside down, and what we really should be concerned about is their mental health and their mental well-being. And I mean that when I say that. And again, to any parents who are out there who might be listening and might be seeing this broadcast, all I can say to you is, you know your kids, do what's best for them. They need your love and they need your support now more than ever. And really, frankly, nothing else matters. I'm off my soapbox. Sorry, Doug, I had to say it.
Hey, if anyone can say it and say it well, Heather, it's always going to be you. So, no, it's very true. I mean, I can only imagine. I actually don't laugh. Considered becoming a teacher. A teacher named Paula Moore in grade, I think it was grade 7 or grade 8. She's a great teacher. And I thought, oh, I want to be like that. I want to be like that. And I'm glad I didn't. I'm not cut out for that. I mean, you have to read the room. When you have class going on, you read the room. You see the kids in the back that are like falling asleep or passing notes or about to get into trouble. So you can isolate the class clowns of the classroom, like this guy. So it's hard to do that when you're one dimensional, because you can't. I mean, you could mute them, I suppose, but you can't very well send them down to the principal's office because that's mom and dad. I know when I homeschool or teach my kids, grandkids here at home, the joke is that Papa is the principal and the lunch lady all at the same time. Gotta have those snacks.
I love it.
So but it's hard to keep your finger on the pulse because you don't know what's going on at home. You don't know if you have their full attention. You don't know. You can't really tell if they're getting it when you're trying to teach them something. Mm-hmm. So no soapbox. It was well put, and as always, Heather, well said. So Nicole, did you have a soapbox you want to hop on?
Well, a lot of what Heather. Honestly, some of what you're saying even bring like tears to my eyes because I felt that all year. I said to my husband one day, I said, I'm like a lonely teacher right now because I'll have days where I won't have a student that turns on their camera. So I'm talking with my camera on at, 30 black boxes. And I can tell that these kids are craving that socialization. That they're lonely. That they miss that, camaraderie with their classmates and their teachers. And we do the best you can do, but it's that piece is missing. And I see it with my own kid. Like I waited the whole break to tell my 7-year-old that she had to go back to, we call it iPad school. And she was devastated. She was crying. She was in tears. She was going to miss her friends, her teacher. Heather's right. This is not the best situation. We understand why we need to do it. But I think everybody needs to realize that they can just do the best that they can right now. And I think people need to stop stressing about, oh, they're going to be behind or they're they're missing out on, they're not where they should be reading wise or math wise. And that's not what's important right now. And that we really need to focus on, the positives. And that's what I've been talking to my students a lot, especially since Christmas. I really tried to pivot, I guess, again over Christmas break about how I was approaching things. And every day I do a make you smile video of the day where I'll play a video and just something to kind of bring some brightness, and I'll have them share, what was good that happened. Nothing. They'll say nothing. Okay, no, let's really think back and just trying to find something that's a positive right now, which is hard to do. I mean, you look at the news, you turn on the news, it's doom and gloom. You talk to people in the grocery store, walking down the road, whatever it is, and it's everybody is not in the best place right now, right? So it's trying to find that. And I think especially as a teacher and an educator, we've got to still kind of carry that torch and lead and be those motivators, even on those days that maybe we're not feeling like I have it in me, but finding that way to continue to help these kids along. And I hope it's making a difference. And like Heather said, to anybody that's kind of listening, those parents, like, you feel like you're carrying everything on you right now. And it's not fair. It's not fair to anybody. This is, and nobody can do their job right? So if you're working from home, you can't do your job right. If you're teaching from home, you're not doing the job the best that you could. You're not parenting the best that you could, So it's for everybody, and it's affecting everybody right now.
So the screen time that kids are spending now is phenomenal. And there was a campaign here in our city a few years back about reducing screen time because kids were spending too much time in front of the screen, not enough time being active. And we were trying to teach our kids how to learn how to play, which is something that I know my generation didn't have to learn. We just knew how to play. So now with all of this additional screen time, students have become what we call zombies because they're watching the screen all day long, and they are doing some activities. God bless the teachers that are making them, go out and run around the backyard or do some jumping jacks in the dining room while they're in class. But they really spend a lot of time in this box of learning. So hopefully we get back to the proper protocols and people having vaccinations and being in a classroom, whether there's plexiglass masks or shields. At least you can read their body language, because that tells you a lot. I know that both of you as educators in the classroom, you can tell when you're getting up to a holiday. You can feel that hyperness. Right?
Heather's countdowns. Yeah.
Heather's countdown, exactly. Shout out to Heather's
when you
countdown.
See a countdown come on, you kind of know that's about that time where you see the shift. Everyone knows that shift that we're talking about.
Yeah. Shift happens, they say, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, you can't feel that through Google Classroom or Zoom. You can really only feel that in person. So and good or bad, that hype has its good energy as well. But you lose that. So here's hoping we get back to actually in class. So I have a few more questions I want to get to. I don't want to keep this going too long, but in your Zoom world, in your Google Classroom, if you can share, please do. What is the strangest thing that has happened or you've seen in the background? Now, I'm going to preface this with the fact that I have two grandkids that are doing school from here a couple days a week, and it's stressful. I get it. I was watching these videos of parents before I had to do it that were like sitting there, on screen on Instagram, holding their glass up and holding their head and thinking, God, let it just be over. And I thought to myself, it can't be that bad, until it happened here at the Robin's Nest. And, I have two adorable kids doing it from home, completely in French, I might add. And I had a glimmer of thought one day as I thought about grabbing some cream by cream I mean Bailey's, to put in my coffee, when I realized I was in plain shot of the video camera for my grandson's classroom, and that probably wouldn't look good if they saw, Papa putting cream out of the liquor cabinet into his coffee mug at 9 in the morning, 10 in the morning, whatever. We don't judge, but everyone has their challenges, right? So had I done that, I'd probably be on the list of the strangest thing you've seen. But what's been the strangest thing or the weirdest thing that's happened during your online classes?
Man,
Heather?
I don't know. To be honest with you, like most of the students that I have when we are remotely learning have had their cameras off. So
Wow.
I don't know if anything really odd has happened. I think you kind of see that kind of stuff more so, my guess anyways, with the primary grades.
Yeah.
Because a lot of them probably have their cameras on more so.
I have a
I don't know.
colleague. I have a colleague that was teaching a younger primary grade and had a student take her to the washroom with him. So iPad comes in, she can see the ceiling, in the washroom, hear the flush. So, I mean, I guess they didn't want to miss anything, but Heather's right. Yeah, you do see it more, I'm sure, in the primary and like normally pre lockdown, all the virtual teachers were in one building. So we would get a lot of stories from each other of like things that we would hear and see. We call it hot mic. So sometimes there's definitely some hot mics where you hear things come through, you just try and ignore it. But things that maybe are not meant to be heard by the teacher or the rest of the class for sure. But what do people do, right? Like, I guess I would say there's no judgment. If I saw somebody pouring Bailey's in their coffee, there's no judgment. What are you going to do at these times, right? Yeah. So whatever kind of gets you through, I think.
Well, thanks for the endorsement. Yeah. I appreciate
that. Yeah, if you got to do it, you got to do it.
Do what you got to do.
Yeah.
Vindicated. Yes. Yeah. So I have a quote that Heather provided for me, and I want to show it. And I want Heather to explain the quote. So here you go, Heather.
Okay. Oh, yes. Kids don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So this has kind of been, I guess, a philosophy that I've kind of stood by since I started teaching. It was probably maybe the last few weeks when we were in Teachers College. Quigs would be able to actually speak to this too, because he was in the class as well. But anyway, we were all gathered in this lecture hall, and it was one of those last lectures that we had. I believe it was, if I'm not mistaken, it was the Director of Education from the Greater Essex County District School Board, and she came in to speak to us. It was kind of one of those like last hurrahs, give you the pep talk. You guys have, lasted through this year, you're about to graduate and that sort of thing. And those were some words that she said. She said, kids don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And that's kind of something that's stuck with me. It's great to be able to have these wonderful, amazing lessons, to be able to teach these kids and to be able to know all of the curriculum. All that stuff's great. But unless these children can trust you, unless they know how much you care about them, unless they know how much you've invested into them, you're like fish out of water. It doesn't really matter. So I think one of the things that's important for teachers to be able to recognize and to know is that, kids really don't care how much you know until they know how much you care about them. And it's kind of something that just flows with it.
Yeah.
The whole profession.
Yeah. And it could very much just be a philosophy for life as well.
Mm-hmm.
Very adaptable in a lot of ways. So a couple last questions before I end this, but and I asked this question of, I think, every phenomenal female has been on the broadcast. So we're going to start with Nicole. So Nicole, dead or alive, who would you have for dinner and drinks, and what would you serve?
So I thought long and hard about this question when you mentioned it a little earlier today. And coming down to like one person is difficult. I was easy with the food and I was easy with the drinks. So I'm not a cook at all. My husband loves to cook, so I would go with something like smoked on the smoker, some brisket maybe, with all the kind of the sides and some good like local craft beers in the backyard, just a good barbecue.
Nice.
But then for the third time, I've been watching Michael Jordan's documentary, The Last Dance, and I'm just fascinated by his like dedication, his competitiveness. And then he's just got that little bit of, you just can't get through to that next level. So I'd love to be able to sit down and actually have a real conversation, because he never really put himself completely out there.
Yeah.
And like I said, I'm a huge sports fan. I love basketball. And I think that's somebody that I would love to sit down and just kind of get to that next level and see how he operates and really what makes him tick, because he's unbelievable. Like everything he did was absolutely, became unbelievable. And he might not have done it in the nicest way all the time or the best way, but he got it done. So that mindset, I'd love to see through what really makes him tick and what's under that level, if you could break through to that next level and be able to sit down with him. So I think that's just kind of fresh in my mind, because I've been watching it. Like I said, this is probably the third time I've watched it.
Wow.
And every time you pick up some little detail, and I guess I think about everything as like a mindset that I do, and teaching kids to have that, strong, mindset, that toughness, that being able to, fight through things and not give up and not quit. And Michael Jordan's kind of known for that, but I like to think I try and teach the kids to take on some of those things too. So being able to pick somebody's brain that's kind of the, I guess, the master of having that tough mindset would be really neat to do. Cool. And if I could have some good barbecue and good beer too.
Well, yeah, you said brisket. You had me at brisket.
There we go.
Heather.
Oh man. Dead or alive. Man, I think, to be honest with you, because I'm such a big family person, I have a really hard time with, no, I'm not going to, I'll try not to anyway. I think that probably the person that I would want to have dinner with, who would be the head of the table, would be my mom. I lost my mom in 2003, and she would be the head of the table for sure. But also, I think that to be able to be around a big table, no, I'm going to change that.
Oh.
I don't want to be around a table. I want to be in my grandma's barn.
Yep.
In Buxton, and I want to have a barn party.
Oh yeah.
So I think that the barn party with all of my family, all the Hansers, all the Princes, all the Robins, all the Streets, everybody, and the guest of honor would be my mom.
Oh.
That would be it.
Can I come to that? I'd cook for that.
Well, yeah. Oh, well, see, here's the thing, Doug. We all know that you can cook, right? So you would be the caterer along with Aunt Shannon, who will provide the smoked wings and the collard greens.
Yep.
And then whatever else Doug decides to bring, it's gold. Like, it's going to be gold, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So I think that's
Can I come? I'll bring MJ along.
Yeah. Oh, yes. If you brought MJ,
there you go.
I mean, what else do you want?
Yeah, that'd be incredible.
That's it.
And if my wife was there, your mom used to call her Shorts.
Yeah.
Because she had her as a nurse in the hospital, and Andrew always wore shorts, so she called her Shorts. So I can still hear your mom yelling that from the car when she'd be at homecoming. So yeah, that's awesome. So one question you don't have in your notes that I didn't give you for a reason is, if you could tell your 15-year-old self something, what would that be? I'm going to start with you, Heather.
Oh man. My 15-year-old self. If I could tell my 15-year-old self something, I think it would be comfortable in the skin that you're in. You know, like don't try to be somebody that you're not. Don't try to, follow a label. You're cool, who you are. I think that a lot of 15-year-olds are struggling with their identity. And I think I was one of those types of people too, really unsure about myself, not really, where I fit in. And so I would say to myself, be cool with the skin that you're in.
Cool. Nicole.
15-year-old me. Whoa. I guess maybe saying, enjoy every moment, because, I don't think I really thought about how great I had things, at that time, like where, the biggest thing you had to worry about is, going to school and my basketball tournament that weekend, and just enjoying all those moments growing up. And I think that taking that kind of positive mindset of, this is pretty awesome, like these things that I get to do and got to do. And I don't know that I actually really at that time appreciated everything that I had at that time, and everything that my coaches and my teachers and my school was providing for me, and taking advantage of those and appreciating all those options that were there.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. I mean, and we don't typically get that until we're older. We don't look back and go, you know what? It's pretty lucky. Lucky. It may have been hard. It may have been tough. It may have been uncomfortable. But as I think we get older, we look back and we go, all right. Yeah, we did that. What's next? So good.
Love it.
Well, ladies, I think that this has been a great talk. It's always great talking to phenomenal females that we have in and amongst and around us. And you two certainly are just that. So I want to thank you for what you do, first of all, because we realize it's not easy. You'll never hear this guy say, those teachers with that big income and the summers off and all the vacations, they got it good, because I know how much work is involved, and having to pivot and think of new ways to engage students is not easy. And when you add a pandemic on top of this, and not even talking about like learning disabilities, I mean, that's a whole nother level. You guys are doing a phenomenal job, and I thank you for that. And I thank you for being here today to talk with us. And I found the conversation engaging, and thank you very much.
Thank you.